This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sankeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right. Here we go in Houston, Harris County. You got Gilbert Garcia with a tip from me, talk, inspiration, and prayer with another episode. Thank you, studio audience. And of course, boy, am I excited. Talk about. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with all of a sudden. It seems like Austin is fixated on what's painted on our streets. And so we're going to talk about that. And then I want to talk about this incredible No King's March. And then I want to talk about these incredible, terrible emails that were released that were done by a lot of the young Republicans and the leadership in the young Republicans. And I just think there's no place for those type of emails and that type of thinking. And we're going to talk about all of that. But my guest is former Mayor Annise Parker. Annise, welcome to the show.
I'm so glad to be with you. And you know, I've been calling in.
Yep.
I'm actually in the studio with you.
So here we go. And you know, the funny thing about Annise Parker, in addition to, in my opinion, in Houston, Harris County, you know that I call it like I see it, and you know I tell it like it is. She really is probably, if not just one of the best mayors of modern times, but one of the best mayors we've had. Because she's been able to work with everyone on all sides of the aisle. She's been very good on labor issues, on issues of the minority community. She did all kinds of wonderful things. She also was very fiscally responsible. And so I really think, Mayor, that this position is really the next step for you, which is to really now take everything you've done, because you've been a council member for a long time, you've been a city controller for a long time, you've been someone in the private sector for a long time, you've been a leader in so many different areas, and you, of course, were mayor for a long time. It's ready to take all of that and help us at the county. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I have been out of office for 10 years.
It can't be.
I went back into the, well, I was in the private sector before I was in office, but I went into the nonprofit sector, and I had another successful career in the nonprofit sector. But watching what's happening in our country, I just couldn't do it anymore. I felt the need to get back into the political realm. And it's not the same thing as county judge as mayor. There's a fundamental difference. As mayor, you are the CEO. And you know, you're in charge, you make things happen, people respond to you. As the county judge, you're the chair of the board, and you have 4 board members. We happen to call them county commissioners. And the goal there is to make sure that those board members, those commissioners, are moving in the right direction. We don't have to agree with each other, but we have to move in the right direction together to move the county forward. And what we have right now is just frayed relationships and dysfunction and kind of a death spiral in terms of the commissioners' court meetings. Harris County is still a vibrant, great place, but it needs a lot of attention to get it back on the right track.
Well, you know, if there's anyone that can do it, it's you. And I want to talk a little bit more about, you did not say this word, but I'm going to, some of the dysfunction on that commissioner's court. And we had Tom Ramsey on the show not that long ago. And so we're going to talk about that. But right after this, we have a caller already. It looks like it's Representative Rosenthal. Representative, are you there on the line? Representative, how are you? Thank you for calling in. You know, you got Mayor Annise Parker with me, and
I love John Rosenthal,
yeah.
And I happen to know that he is running for something else. He doesn't want to be our rep anymore. He wants to have a bigger job.
Oh, is that right? I'm not aware. Representative, what are you doing? Oh, wow.
¿Puedes mover el background para un más
Well,
poquito
you know
para
what?
un
We're going to
poquito?
miss you though in the legislature because you've been such a great
Un
leader
poquito.
and you've been such a thoughtful voice in an area of where we need more thoughtful voices. But you know something? Tell us a little bit. This is softball for you. Because I don't know, I was not prepared, but I'm so glad you brought it up. On the whole Railroad Commission, it's always been one of those things that's ripe with conflicts of interest. Talk a little bit about that because it just seems like an area where a lot of those commissioners have, in my view, conflicts. Tell us about that.
The microphone is hot here. They can hear us somehow. They can hear you.
They don't want people to know what they do.
It-
They want to fly under the radar. It's just stupid that we still call it the Railroad
I think that's
Commission.
right because
It
you know
really
a regular Joe. I now call this show when I talk about a regular Joe because I'm a Latino. I say a regular Gilbert would say. You know, Railroad Commission. Does it do? Is it Union Pacific? Is it Is it what
Well,
is
it was in the
doing?
beginning, but it's not. It's been decades
Yeah.
since they've done that.
Representative, you go.
That's right. That's right. And now we have people in those jobs. Not only are, for the most part, they don't really have the qualifications to regulate the industry. They all make their money from that industry. They all serve the industry. So the perfect example is the guy I'm going to go against runs a chemical waste management company that has been such a bad polluter. The TCEQ is going to revoke their permit to do business, and then magically he wins this election, and now he's regulating himself.
You know,
So how do you think that's
Representative,
going?
how does Mayor Parker? How does that happen? Is there just no laws about conflicts of interest at the state level? I mean, how does that
the
happen?
State Ethics Commission is a toothless tiger, and they don't want the regulation. I mean, the legislature, and John has been there, and he can speak to this. The goal of the legislature the last decade or so has been to dismantle as much of the regulation as they can, as the federal government has been trying to do under Trump. Roll back regulations, unfettered business, and particularly, I worked in the oil and gas industry, and it is still important to the city of Houston and to the state of Texas, but it has to be a responsible actor. And I hope John will also talk about the critical problem of orphan wells and how they're polluting the
yeah.
environment across the state too.
Yeah, talk about that,
That's
Representative,
right.
because I have been reading more and more about these orphan wells. And as a regular Gilbert, I'm like, first of all, what is that? Second of all, you mean to tell me these things, they just drill a hole, they're polluting the groundwater, and they're just leaving them there? Talk to us about that.
That's right. So what happens is, especially with the smaller operators who tend to just get in, make their money, and get out, they'll disappear. So they'll drill a hole in the ground, produce whatever they can out of the well, and when it starts to play out, dry up and not be productive anymore, then they'll just disappear. So they abandon it. That's the orphan well. And a lot of times we don't even know where these things are. There's over 8,000 of these recorded right now that we know of. There's probably 50 to 70,000 that we just aren't aware of. And so
50,
when they
did you say
abandon
50 to
them-
70,000 just in the state of Texas?
Just in the state of
Holy
Texas, some
cow.
people think it's over 100,000. And these things can cause pollution, not just environmental hazards, but physical hazards as well. And they leak gas, they leak oil, and it's just irresponsible. And these small-time operators will just abandon the asset, abandon their thing, and because they're small, they can either go out of business or reincorporate under a different name. They just disappear.
The
And
Railroad Commission is
fails
responsible.
to hold.
Are they the ones that?
That's right.
So the Railroad Commission are the ones that should be looking over it. It's all part of the same problem, right? Which is there's no oversight. I mean, when you think about
There's no oversight.
Yeah, when you think about a functioning society, you got to have sort of strong labor, strong management, and strong regulation as a stool to keep it all going for the people. And so clearly in this area, there's no regulation to really oversee and protect the citizens.
That's correct. And I firmly believe, we can be profitable and produce all the energy while still being responsible to our constituents and our communities. And most operators are. There's just some that aren't. And the Oil and Gas Association pretty much owns the Railroad Commission because they pay for their campaigns.
Well, let me ask
So
you
that's
this.
why they don't operate independently.
Let me ask you this, Representative. I want to make sure, tell everybody what's your website and when's the election and is there going to be a Democratic primary? Just give all that rundown for us, and how can people reach you? How can they volunteer? How can they donate, etc.? I want to give you that chance real quick.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. So my name, John, is Jon. And if you just Google John Rosenthal, it should come up. It's johnrosenthaltx.com is the website. There's the filing. I believe the actual filing for this is going to be in December, although I have already declared I've got the website up. I'm starting to campaign already. I don't think there's a Democrat primary, but it's always possible. You never know what's going to happen. The election will be November 2026. So it'll be my job to travel the state, help people understand that the Railroad Commission only regulates oil and gas. And here's the punchline. If you want to keep the energy on in the state of Texas, the next time there's a massive winter freeze event, you need someone responsible in this position. This is the agency that failed our state and caused us to black out in that massive winter storm.
Well, I want to get you on the show. I think this is very important because part of the reason for the show is to really educate the public on things that they should know about, but they just don't know. I mean, even a regular Gilbert doesn't know a lot of these things. I want to know, and I feel I'm educated, but sometimes, I just don't even know. So I want to have you on the show if you don't mind, because I think we should let everyone know about what it does and what it means and what you're going to do differently. How's that?
I would love that. I would love to come visit with you, and we can talk about oil and gas industry, keeping the lights on, and keeping our environment clean.
Let's do it.
If you want.
I'm going to have you on the show. I want you to talk to Houston and Harris County. And so, all right, my friend. Well, thank you for calling in, and we'll do it again. Before I continue to talk with you, Mayor Parker, we already have another caller. I just saw it. It was Isidro Garza. Isidro, are you there? Isidro Garza. Isidro, can you hear me?
There he is.
Oh, I got some feedback there, team. Isidro, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, now we can hear you. How are you doing, my friend? You got me, a tip from me, with Annise Parker. What do you got for us today?
Oh, Mayor and Mayor.
Well, to this...
And county judge, maybe.
That's right. Well, listen, we are going to move heaven and earth, and I just want to put it out there for all my listeners, anyone out there, anyone that knows me or my family, listen, we are with Mayor Parker. We are Team Parker all the way. Go ahead there, Isidro. There you go. Thank you, studio audience.
That's why we support her, because it's through you. You know her better than all of us, and if you trust her, we trust her. If she is your candidate, she is our candidate.
100%. Thank you, my friend. What do you got for us today?
Great news, and I'll try to keep it as short as I can. About 5 or 6 years ago, we learned that for the betterment of Houston, the Port of Houston was going to widen and deepen the channel. The downside of that was that the spoils that have been determined to be 138% higher than the lowest acceptable for carcinogen products was the material that was going to be pumped, and it was going to be pumped into Glendale, into our subdivisions, an African American subdivision, and the Hispanic subdivision. There's some retaining ponds there that have been there for a long time. Way back then, I had spent 16 years working for the Corps of Engineers. The Corps of Engineers, that was their determination, along with the port. And this morning, I received word, my first statement when I met with them 6 years ago, it was not popular. As a matter of fact, even my friends didn't want to get close to me. But my statement was, if you start with a false conclusion, you're going to end with a premise, you're going to end up with a false conclusion. That material has no business being in our community, being pumped in our community. many years, 50 years or more, one of those levees broke, and the life of African Americans that affected it mainly, their lives have been determined that they are 10, 15 years less than the average in our community.
Oh, that's horrible.
and-
Isidro,
and-
that's horrible. Please go. Keep
Yes,
going. That's
and
terrible.
So this morning, I received word from Kenneth Alder, who has been our leader in the opposition to this project. I said, there's better ways you can pump that elsewhere, but not into our communities. That was my final conclusion. It was not a popular position then, because we're going to try to do the best we can, fortifying the levees that we have now. And I said, no, it's the wrong conclusion. It's going in the wrong direction. And so this morning, I learned that the Corps of Engineers has concluded that they don't want to take the liability of putting it in the wrong place, and they're going to support barging it elsewhere.
Oh, how wonderful. Wow. You know what? That's what you show, what means persistence right there. And what do we think they're going to do with it?
Are they going to do spoil islands?
Yes, and what they're Mayor, and what they're going to do is also, there's a meeting next. Well, as of right now, that decision has to be overturned by the port directors. And I know that your brother is one, and I know he's a good man, and he leads with conscience. But they're having a meeting next Monday, and we want to be there in support of the conclusion that the Corps has reached, that it does not belong in our neighborhoods. And I am hoping that the board will see it the same way.
That is so great. And Isidro, I'm going to change subject if you don't mind. But Mayor, did you want to say anything else on that subject before I go to the next one?
No, I just think this speaks to the power of citizens coming together and organizing and speaking up. And there are alternatives, as Isidro just talked about, and what I was asking, that one of the ways to deal with dredge materials is you go and you restore marshes, you create spoil islands, you replant, and that over time the plants bind the carcinogens just as they are underneath the ship channel where they are, and so it is much safer, and it's actually long term it's much better environmentally than throwing the spoils in behind these levees near residential areas.
Wow. Isidro, congratulations, my friend. Real quick, because I know how close you are to Don Buckingham, and I know that Mayor Parker had a chance to meet with her the other day. And so make sure you let.
Put in a good word for Harris County and for Houston with our land commissioner.
Yes, well, actually, I'm going to be with her Wednesday, and I've invited Gilbert. If I don't know if your schedule will allow it, but I'm going to be with her at 5 on Wednesday.
In Austin, though, right?
Yes, in Austin.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you, because in the week's a little hard right now, but I'm going to follow up with you. But I just wanted to make sure you knew that they had a chance to visit, and I think there's enormous mutual respect between both of them, because they both have been very gracious political leaders, and they know that to get things done, you got to work with everybody. Everybody,
both sides of the aisle.
That's exactly right.
That's how you started your program.
Very good. Well, Isidro, please call in again, and that might be worthy of our own show, me and you. So I'm going to have you back.
May God continue to bless both of you and all the people that listen to you.
Thank you so much, Isidro. So, Mayor, let's go ahead and put up, if you don't mind, producer, I want to first show the picture of New York, the No Kings March. Look at that, Mayor. Can you imagine? That's like 150,000 people. And what's fascinating is to hear our Speaker of the House say things like, oh, they're crazies and this and that. How can they all be crazy?
That we all hate America. I was at 2 No Kings marches here in the greater Houston region on Saturday. And it is full of people who love America, but we also love our civil rights, and we understand that the Constitution protects them. And we're not, I see a lot of folks on social media also saying that we're trying to overturn Donald Trump's election. No, those were the insurrectionists on January 6th. He got elected. It's his policies that
That's right.
we're standing up against.
And that's part of what we should be doing, which is express yourselves. I know we have a caller there. Before we go to the caller, go, producer, to the other one, which is the 4 blocks there. Shows that. Okay, look at that, man. I'd have some what seats those are. Okay, seats too far away.
There were too people in Houston. I was in LaPorte. I was in LaPorte, Texas.
Even the poor man,
There were like 150 of us in LaPorte. And they were little towns, big cities. And they will say, this is Antifa. No, and this is not patriotic. Yes, we are patriotic, but we're also understand that the emperor has no clothes, and the way to say that the emperor has no clothes is to make fun of the emperor. So the inflatables, the frog,
and you know what?
bananas.
He's good material.
He's good material.
I mean, and you can't help it. What's interesting is, Mayor, you've been politically engaged a long time. Outside the Vietnam War, and certainly the Civil Rights Movement, has there ever been something that you recall was bringing out hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people all over to really get engaged in the government to make the forces right that they didn't like?
Not to this scale. Not to this scale. You're right. Anti-war movement, civil rights. There have been large marches and rallies in D.C., but not
I can't see the New York's there. I think that was D.C. I think there's Chicago. I can't see that other one in Dallas. It's amazing. Now we have another caller there, but I want to get back to many more things. I feel like, oh my God, we're going to run out of time, but we're going to bring it back. I already know it. What's that next caller? Was it Elise? Elise, if I got your name wrong, I apologize to you. But is there Elise on the line? Elise. Can you hear me, Elise?
Yes, how are you?
Good, and if I got your name wrong, I so apologize to you. How do I say your name correctly?
Alize.
Alize. Well, Alize, I'm Gilbert. You have me, a tip from me, Talk Inspiration Prayer. Thank you for calling in. And I have former mayor, former city council person, former controller, former incredible, wonderful mom and wife, the whole bit, Annise Parker. So what do you got for us?
Yes, I've been a longtime supporter of Mayor Parker, and I wanted to see how I could get involved in the upcoming race and how we can get ahead of the curve to get young people to vote and just be more involved considering everything that's going on in our country.
Okay, Elisa, let me just say, Mayor, this is a good one for you also as a small softball, which is you've announced for county judge for the Democratic nomination because mayor is nonpartisan. And would you please answer the question, but would you also give us your website information of how can people find information about the race coming up?
So the primary election is in March, and then whoever wins the primary, and I'm quite confident about winning the primary, is on to November. My website is AnniseParker.com, ANNISEPARKER.com. People can go sign up and get involved. But you asked two questions. I announced my campaign in June. I was the first to announce for this position. Right now, it's a two-way race, and I've been in politics long enough. I'm not going to mention my opponent. The incumbent is not running; it is an open seat, and I am absolutely certain that there's not anybody else that could run that has the depth of experience, the relationships, and the skill set to do this job better than I can. That doesn't mean that I'm sure to win, but my experience as mayor has been exceptional in preparing me for this. But you also ask about how do we get young people involved, and that has been an ongoing conversation across politics for a long time. I mean, I think part of the reason that we have Donald Trump today is that a lot of young people have checked out and they don't realize how consequential this is. Oh, they're all the same and they're old we are not all the same. We don't have the same positions, and politics matters, and elections have consequences, and we are seeing the results of those consequences right now. So I think the best way is to draw the connections. Washington is a long way away. Austin is a long way away, metaphorically, but people see local government. If you care about how how those police officers are trained, that's local government. If you care about the safety of your water, that's local government. If just the normal neighborhood issues, if you get you want to get you're concerned about, you live next door to a noisy bar in unzoned Houston, that's local government. And local government is necessary for people to live together. And if we could just make the connection, I think once you get into the habit of voting, you never get out of it, because one vote absolutely can make a difference.
And in my view, just as a regular Gilbert, as they say, is, when you're young, I mean, you don't have much experience. You're not a homeowner. You have any kids. It isn't until you start having like grown-up things, kids, you start thinking about, well, God, what school is my kid in? Or what are my property taxes? What am I, it really then hits you. And that's when you start really like, well, I need to get involved. But boy, young people, get involved, because this is your city. This is your county, your state, your world, your planet. Get involved.
We have a whole bunch of folks in D.C. right now who are in charge who do not believe that the climate is changing. And I don't know any young people who don't believe the climate is changing, unless perhaps a bunch of young Republicans who
well, we're gonna. I am
who
gonna
exchanged vulgar texts with each other.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because young Republicans, I believe the age is anything from 18 to 40. Yep. And so these are not necessarily
these are not kids.
That's right.
These are not the young people that Alice is talking about.
And I'm going to talk about it, because it's so important that people know. And it isn't so much about, everybody knows I'm a Democrat, but everyone knows I've worked across the aisle, as Mayor Parker has. It's not about that. It's about when young people have the wrong mindset, adults should intervene to say, that's not the right way to approach things. And of course, what did our vice president say about those? He said they should anyone that feels that those text messages are bad, they should just get over it. No, grow up. They should just grow up. How terrible. Annise, so hopefully we answered your question. Do you have a follow-up or anything? Oh, I think she hung up. That's fine. Do we have another caller or no? Are we okay? Are we caught up? Well, there you go. Here, ask and you shall have. But coming back for a second there, Mayor Parker, is, what happened? Oh, here, do we have that caller? Go ahead, Mayor. You want to say something?
I'm a Democrat. You're a Democrat. We don't. But government only works if you have a principal compromise. If you have people you can work with, even when you disagree on a policy, to move the agenda forward. You can have principled compromise. What has changed in the era of Donald Trump, and it's not Republican or Democrat or right or left, what has changed with Donald Trump is the tone and the tenor of what is acceptable in politics. And I'm sorry, whether from the right or the left, that the hatred and the vitriol being poured out in those texts is just wrong. And it's anti-woman, it's sexist, it's racist, it's just
horrible.
Vulgar.
It's horrible.
No one should try to justify that. And these are the future leaders of the Republican Party.
That's right. Well, Mayor, I remember vividly, obviously, we've worked together when you appointed me to the pension board and when you appointed me to Metro. You really taught me about, you got to work with everyone. And it's real simple. Focus on the things that you have in common and make those better. And you can always argue another day. But focus on those things that you have in common.
We should mention, I appointed you. I didn't know you. You came in and you met with me. I was the city controller, and I fought hard for the city controller to have a position on the pension board. And yes, I had a lot of people I could have appointed. I didn't know you. You came in. You were the best qualified person who said, I really want to do this, and this is why I'm the best person to do this. And I said, okay, you are the best qualified, and you're right. And we became friends after that.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Because you did such an outstanding job. That's the way it should work.
That's exactly right. And I want to show this clip because, and I know there's another caller there, and we're going to have them wait just 1 minute. Don't hang up there, caller. I think it's a Brittany. If you look at the number 4 tile with Donald Trump, I just want to play that because I'm going to ask a question to Mayor Parker after this little clip here. Can we play that there, Mr. Producer?
Closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we wanted to close up or that we never wanted to happen, and now we're closing them up. And we're not going to let them come back. The Democrats are getting killed. And we're going to have a list of them on Friday. We're not closing up Republican programs because we think they work. So the Democrats are getting killed, but they're not telling the people about that. I say it, nobody, well, I haven't said it probably as bluntly as I just said it. But so we are closing up Democrat programs that we think that we disagree with, and they're never going to open again.
You know, what's frightening about that is, first of all, I always thought these government programs were like the people's programs, first of all.
They're government. They're government. It's our government. It's not a Republican government or a Democratic government.
And there are tax dollars, right?
There are tax dollars.
And, you know, and there are people.
And Texas is a donor state, so there are more of our tax dollars going on.
Would you just repeat that? Because tell everybody what that means, because people don't know that.
Texas is a donor state. We send more money to Washington than we receive back in services.
Yeah, so everyone should just remember, my goodness, that doesn't seem fair. And we're not talking about campaign donations. We're talking about tax dollars. We send more tax dollars to D.C. than we get back. But going back to that statement, I really think government is all about for the people. And there are no programs that I'm aware of, where they say, okay, if you want to get this program, show me your registration. You're a Republican, you're not eligible. I don't think anything like that exists, because the whole point is it's for everybody. And I don't remember a single president. And, you know, I became politically aware with Jimmy Carter and, of course, with Gerald Ford. And, you know, Gerald Ford was, you know, a very moderate, you know, you can say whatever you want about him. At the end of the day, he was very thoughtful. The Bushes, I go back to a lot of these players, and I can't remember another president saying things like that.
Well, no one in president in American history has coarsened the dialogue, has said the kind of ugly, vulgar things publicly that this president does. And what I fear is that he's going to normalize this behavior in the, you know, the 3 more years that we're going to have with him.
It's only been one year.
And it's we are all Americans. We are not the enemy. We can disagree. I can think that you are absolutely wrong, but we're all Americans. And we still love this country. There's not. It's easier at the local level because most local government is nonpartisan officially. So, I mean, Barbara Bush endorsed me when I ran for mayor of Houston.
Wow.
Because she thought I was the best candidate for mayor. There's not a partisan way to pick up trash or to fill a pothole. There are partisan ways to let contracts, but there are also corrupt ways to let contracts. But at the end of the day, you have to fill the pothole. You have to pick up the trash, and government has to get back to working for the citizens.
I'm gonna just bring up one more thing, and I know we got a caller. Actually, you know what? Let me just write this down so I don't forget, because let me get this caller on the air, because I don't want to lose her. Brittany, are you there?
I am.
I can barely hear you. Let's raise that just a tad there, producer. Go ahead there, Brittany. What do you got? You got me, a tip from me, talk, inspiration, and prayer with Mayor Annise Parker.
Good morning. My question was for Mayor Parker. And I guess I just want to know, what are your top 3 priorities once you become county judge? Because I believe you're going to do it, but...
I like the sound of that. Once you become county judge. Didn't that feel good?
It did feel good.
Come on.
But so it's actually fairly simple. It doesn't matter where you are in the state of Texas. Every county has the same government. You have a county judge and you have 4 commissioners. Whether you're in Loving County with 70 people or Harris County with 5 million people, it's the same government. And they have the same basic responsibilities. It is public safety, public health, and public infrastructure. Public safety is non-negotiable, and that is the emergency management, that's law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Public health is the hospital district, and then public infrastructure, it's roads, it's bridges, it's also parks and libraries. Unlike the city, county government can't pass laws. You're creatures of the state, but you have to execute on those things. So my priorities are going to be
trying to make sure that Harris County is safer and that the economy continues to improve. And the one area that I think we have been sliding in this region for a while is we have to, in building the economy, we have to make sure that there is housing available for our young people. As the mother of 4, and my youngest is 30, I have 6 grandkids now. That they can't afford to buy homes here in this region, and we have to put more housing out on the ground. And that's the piece that is not directly in the purview of Harris County, but the decisions that Harris County makes, where you build those roads, where you make investments in public infrastructure, will help drive those the economic engine that's Harris County, and will make it more available to everybody. But it's a back to the basics priority. And in my view, the so-called big beautiful bill that passed, all of the things that Donald Trump wants to do is going to make it harder for Harris County residents to get by and to thrive. As he throws people off of Medicaid and Medicare, Harris County Hospital District has to pick up the slack. That's our tax dollars. Somebody's got to take care of these people. It's going to be at the local level. He wants to do away with FEMA. I was born here. Yep. I lived through, I don't want to tell how old I am. I lived through Hurricane Carla. Yep. I mean, at a very young age, and it made a huge impression on me. We can't afford to live in the Gulf Coast and not have a partner in Washington. He laid off hurricane forecasters at NOAA during the Doge debacle. Yep. And that means that Harris County and the other coastal counties are having to do their own intense weather forecasts to make sure that we can make up for that. We're going to have to wire around our own federal government if he continues these policies. And we have to have really strong leadership at Harris County, public safety, public health, public infrastructure. And we had this summer, unfortunately, a horrifying example of what happens when county government fails in Kerr County and the 4th of July floods that happened there. And there just is a failure of local government. We cannot allow that to happen here.
Brittany, stay with us because, Mayor, I just want to add one more thing to your list, if you don't mind, which is right now, and again, people know I call it like I see it. There are 4 commissioners that are No, I'm sorry. There are 3 commissioners that are Democrats, and there's one Republican, and of course the county judge is a Democrat, so it's 4-1. But at the end of the day, somehow these county commissioner meetings have become must-see TV. I mean, and I've had many clips on my show.
I don't know. It's like watching a train wreck. I would not recommend anybody watch that. I mean,
it's unbelievable. Hopefully you'll bring some, I don't know the right word, just some sort of grown-up leadership or bringing it together, because when you start hearing people and yelling and you can't tell, and I make a motion, well, and then the explanation, I take it back then. And then you see all this, well, he won't even look at me. I mean, and he won't even talk to me. It's gotten like a elementary school kids fighting somehow. I hate to say that.
Yes, but it is not as partisan as you might believe, because there's a sort of a coalition that is formed of commissioners who just, again, want to advance the agenda. They all care about Harris County residents having clean water and good roads, right, and health care. And they may disagree on how to get there, but there's a growing work across the aisle. We can get back to where we need to be.
Well, as soon as
it's not broken, but it's in trouble right now.
It's must-see TV. But as soon as you're back, Mayor, I know it's going to get on the right course. So going back, Brittany, did you have anything else for the mayor?
No, I think she answered everything.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to see how you make the change.
There you go. Thank you very much there, Brittany. We have another caller there. And then I want to get to something here, Mayor, just because before we go to sort of like another topic, I just wanted to mention, again, I don't know if it's the Trump effect, but when I first got in the business, and everyone knows I'm a financial person and everything, my first entree into it all, at the time, the Federal Reserve, which is, of course, was set up after the Depression, et cetera, to make sure that the Federal Reserve's job is full employment and low prices, right? That's their mandate, to keep those things in balance. And sometimes they can get out of balance. And of course, we have a Fed chairman that's very, very powerful and influential. And when I first came in, the Fed chairman was Paul Volcker. And of course, he was all of 6'7", a big cigar, and I mean, no one would talk back to him, no one. And he would be there in front of the Congress and testifying in committees with his cigar. And if someone said something with a kind of a political question, he had no problem saying, "That's the dumbest question I've ever heard." Now, compare it to now. And now our Fed chairman is a numbskull. I didn't even know what numbskull meant. I had to look that up. And he's a loser. I mean, just
That's coming from the president.
That's right.
Yes.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, it's not coming from me, Houston, but it's just amazing that the difference, the lack of respect, if nothing else, even if you think he's not a good Fed chairman, respect the position, because the undermining of that position is so difficult for him and to continue to be chairman. And it's just not good for America. But he called him a numbskull, a loser, all these sorts of things. And by the way, here's another one, Houston, Harris County. I agree with Trump that the Federal Reserve chairman has been late on cutting rates. He should be cutting rates faster. But that doesn't mean he's a numbskull and a loser and all these terrible words. Mayor, can you even imagine such a thing?
It is beneath the dignity of the office, but apparently nothing is beneath the dignity of Donald Trump.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Let's go to our next. Lauren, are you there? Lauren?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Lauren, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, a tip from me with Mayor Annise Parker. We're talking about all kinds of topics. She's running for Harris County county judge in next November in 2026. She announced in June. She's got the primary coming up. We're going to work really hard. You know, we're confident, but we're going to work very, very hard. What do you got for us?
So I want to ask Ms. Parker what inspired her to run for county judge, and I want to know if there were any significant figures or events that impacted her life that influenced her to make that decision to run.
Very great. Lauren, thank you. Stay well on, because that's such a great question.
So let me first say that I grew up in a family that was passionately committed to the political process and to voting, and my family was all Republicans in Texas when that wasn't cool. And I can remember going to the polling places with my parents and my grandparents, and that was when you had the voting booths where you pull the big red lever,
Yep.
and it's like going to confessional or something, and and you were doing something weighty and important. But we were also expected to be community volunteers. We were voluntold when we were kids, but we mostly through the church, but also in community. There's a neighborhood cleanup. We were there and we were part of it. And so I grew up in a family with the expectation that we had rights and responsibilities as citizens, and we were going to live out those rights and responsibilities and do what we needed to do. So I was always an active community volunteer. I was a civic club president. I was I was a volunteer for the United Way in senior programs, all sorts of things. And every step I took as a community volunteer, I could see where government was working and where it wasn't working. And that's what led me into politics. I didn't have a grand ambition. I was in the business sector for 20 years before I was ever elected to office. So I had a full career. I'm not a career politician. I had a full career in something else. But I've been out of office for 10 years now and in the nonprofit sector. And one of the things I've been doing is I led a PAC in D.C., a nonpartisan PAC that worked with LGBT candidates across the country, every level of the ballot, all parts of the country. And I didn't ever lose my faith in politics, but I got a little jaded about it. And the 7 years I was with Victory, I got to see the people at entry level politics, running for school board, running for mosquito control board, running for water board. They just want to serve, and it's like, pick me. I'm going to put myself out there. I just want to help my neighbors. And even when I disagree with them politically, that passion is there. We have to turn that passion on for people across America again, because what is happening in D.C., starting at the White House, and it's not about Republican or Democrat, it is a dysfunctional, narcissistic president who is changing the rules and dismantling the guardrails of our Constitution, and we have to take it back. And the way we do that is to work at the local level, to put good people in office who just want to serve, and remind people how critical government is to our daily lives. But what tipped me over the edge, I left my job at the end of last year, and I came home and I turned on the TV and I started watching. I told you it wasn't must-see TV, but I started watching the Commissioner's Court meetings, and this is not good for Harris County. This is not good for our citizens. I want to do something. And I can't say somebody else go do it. Who is the best person for this? I believe I'm the best person for this job. I don't believe that you run for office because you want to be in office. I believe you run for office because you want that particular job, and that's why I'm doing it.
Well,
Thanks for the question.
Yeah,
though.
it would be funny, all those meetings, all those, except it's real. In other words,
It affects people's daily
that's right.
lives.
If it was Saturday Night Live, we probably would laugh. But you know what? It's not funny.
No.
Because these are real people with needs. They're hurting with tax dollars, and they need help.
And the commissioners are making hard decisions, and I'm respectful of the differences of opinion down there, and I actually agree with the incumbent county judge on things like early childhood education, which is critical for kids. But the job of the Commissioner's Court is to set priorities with limited resources, and not to attack each other, but to attack the problem together.
Amen. Lauren, did you have any follow-up there?
I think you had another caller.
Okay, we do have another. Lauren, anything? Let's go to another caller. And while we bring on Representative Ron Reynolds, Mayor, I just want to make sure everybody knows. At one time, Houston, Harris County, there used to be, when people say pull the lever, I just want to make sure everybody knows, there used to be at the very top, because in case you felt like, because it's, Mayor, it's overwhelming. When you see all these people on the ballot, all these judges, and I'd like to think I'm educated, but I don't know all these judges and the courts, et cetera.
Hey, voting started today.
Oh, that's right.
Voting started today. We should have started.
Yeah, we should have.
That.
I apologize.
There's whether you're in the 18th congressional district or the city of Houston, you have constitutional amendments all across the state. League of Women Voters is probably the best place to go for kind of neutral information.
That's right.
Stuff like that.
And real quick, so there used to be that if you felt like I'm just overwhelmed, you could just pull the lever and it would just roll all the way down. And it was there for either one, whether it was Republican or Democrat. And they took that away. And so that's what Mayor Parker was referring to when she talked about the lever. Going back, Ron Reynolds, are you there?
Hey, Gilbert, good morning.
How are you, Representative? You got me and Annise Parker.
County Judge Annise Parker.
Hey,
yes.
Representative.
I've been listening to the great dialogue. Very, very insightful conversation. And you guys were talking. I was saying, I want to remind people that today's the first day of early voting, and you guys just stole my thunder.
No.
Thank you for saying that. Today's the first day, and no matter where you live, as Annise just stated, you have 17 constitutional amendments that you can vote on. And obviously, if you're in the 18th, there's a special election in the city of Houston. No matter where you live, there is a at-large election. So people, please make an informed decision. And I agree with Annise. There's a great nonpartisan League of Women Voters. They have a great guide every year. It's online. It's easy. You Google it. You can find it. You can learn about the 17 constitutional amendments and the candidates, their positions, and then make an informed vote.
Are there some of the constitutional amendments that you are particularly pushing or worried about?
Well, there's I think a bad one on Proposition 3 is a bad bail reform amendment. There's a great amendment to support water funding, and we critically need that, and that's something that you know about from your time as mayor. There's a great need for Texas and quite frankly other states, but we're talking about Texas, to be prepared for scarcity when it comes to water, and we have a constitutional amendment to give more resources dedicated for water funding. So there's a amendment 12, and I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm not even looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be I would recommend people look at to potentially vote against, that would undermine our judges, particularly give the governor Abbott more, or whoever the governor is, more power to undermine our local judges, and this is a real swipe at Democrat elected judges in urban areas. And when you were just talking about straight ticket voting or pulling the lever, they ended that since I've been in the legislature because too many Democrats were voting for down ballot by pushing one button. And in places like Harris County, I remember Governor Patrick's son, Ryan Patrick, who was a district judge at the time, he lost his criminal justice bench in Harris County. And then they said, you know what, we need to end straight ticket voting because too many Democrats that probably wouldn't vote down ballot are getting elected by one button. We need to end that. And so they did. They ended straight ticket voting in Texas. So now in large counties like Harris County, where they have an extremely large ballot, and Gilbert, you was talking about a lot of people don't even know these people. Well, now they have to go down every single lever, I mean, literally with the machine all the way down to the end. What they're banking on is that people don't go to the bottom. And what we saw last election cycle is some Democrats losing their seats on the bench in Harris County that they probably would not have lost if we still had straight ticket voting. So please be an informed voter, go vote. And then
go to the end. Go all
the way to the end. And then what I want to encourage people to do is to get ready for the next round of primaries, and that segues into you, Annise, will be on the ballot, and lots of other people, including myself. I'll be on the ballot, but every single person that's running to be on the next November ballot will have to first win a primary, and that primary is in March. Early voting will start in February. So that's just around the corner. Filing period starts in November. And so we'll be making sure that people get educated about the people who are on the ballot for governor, lieutenant governor, U.S. senator, county commissioner, county judge, constable, judge, state representative, state senator. There's a lot of positions, but now's the time to do your homework, to do your research so that you can be an informed voter. And I'm so happy to see, great candidates like Annise running to hold public office, because we need people who are really committed, that are not doing it for self-serving reasons, that really want to do a great job for the people. And I know Gilbert always does a good job of vetting candidates. He was a candidate himself, and I think he would have made a fine mayor had he won. But hopefully he'll run again for something in the future. But he is so selfless that he always puts his money where his mouth is and uses his platform to give his space to people to be educated about candidates. So thank you, Gilbert. That's why I just wanted to call today to say, please,
that's so nice.
Go vote. Go vote. Well, Harris County, all over Texas, please go vote.
Well, and if you ride the bus in Houston, you need to thank Gilbert, because when he was the chair of Metro and we did the complete bus
yes, I was
bus reimagining, it's starting to slip a little bit over there.
I'm going to be writing an editorial on that one right now.
But it was transformative.
Well,
investment in the bus system.
Well, Mayor and Representative, I think I'm going to run for mayor of 4030 Durnes Way. But you know what? I'm probably going to lose. I'm probably going to lose.
Watch out! People are going to come pick at your house. Don't put your house number out there.
But I think I'm going to lose to my wife, though. So at the end of the day, but we'll see. But Representative, real quick, because I know we're running out of time. Real quick, what do you in the tea leaves? Can you read anything into these mail-in ballots? The only thing I see is it sure looks weak. But am I missing something?
Weak. No. Listen, that's why I wanted to call, because there's a lot of voter apathy right now in what we've seen from the mail ballot return so far. Less than 1,000 total in the 18th congressional district, which is abysmal. That is just, that is terrible. And I don't really see a lot of energy right now. I'm everywhere in the community, and no one's talking about that.
There's too many candidates. That's part of it. I think there's too many candidates, and they're just like, okay, they tune out.
They're checked out. They're checked out.
Gosh.
I don't know.
Well, there is also a lot of confusion, deliberate confusion about, but I have to vote now, and then I have to vote the special, and then there's a primary coming up.
And is Al Green going to be in the race?
And where's the district lines? deliberate misinformation too.
Well, Gilbert, let me deliver some news.
Go.
And this isn't really breaking news, but I wanted to give a point of clarification. Al Green is one of my closest friends. He's the godfather of my twins. He is definitely running for re-election. He hopes that the courts will give an injunction on these racially gerrymandered maps. If they do, then he'll be running for re-election in the 9th. If they don't, under the current lines, he's in the 18th. He will be running and filing for the 18th if the courts don't invalidate the maps. So he will be running, and unfortunately, there'll be a collision course because what the Republicans did was pitted the 9th and the 18th and basically combined those into one district where about 70% of the current 18th under the new configuration is the old 9th. So Al Green will be running, and I imagine whoever wins the special election, I imagine it'll be a runoff, and that runoff, because of Governor Abbott, wouldn't be until January. We won't know until January who the winner of it is, but the winner will likely be facing Al Green in the next full primary for the full term.
Which will be when? When will that be? Please, when?
That's March 4th.
Of the same March of your March?
Yeah, and then on to November. So, but this confusion,
terrible,
I think, is
Mayor.
why a lot of the voters in the 18th
yeah.
are just
They're
hanging
confused.
back.
They're exhausted.
They're exhausted.
I'm exhausted just hearing y'all. I know we had another caller. I'm
Yeah.
exhausted just hearing you.
Well,
Represent.
let's continue to educate the voters, and we'll do our part.
Please do.
We'll
Please
do
do.
our part too.
And please reach out to the congressman. I'd love to have him on the air just to talk
I'm
about.
gonna tell him.
Please,
he'd
yeah.
love to come on.
I know him,
You
but I'd
got
love him to if you invite him to talk about.
I'm gonna tell him to come on.
Yeah,
He'll do
please.
it.
I want
right.
him on to
All right.
talk about the ins and outs of how this is all working. Thank you so
it's
much,
awful.
Representative. Please,
All right.
please,
Take care.
please, please.
Have a
Yes,
blessed
sir.
day. Bye, Annise. Take care. Bye.
Ernie, is there an Ernie on the line there? Ernie. Ernie. Ernie, can you hear me? You got me, Gilbert Garcia, the tip for me with Mayor Annise Parker, soon to be County Judge Parker. What do you got for us?
Oh, and good morning. I'm so glad you guys were reiterating the importance of early voting, Gilbert, because you always stress the importance of voting. And I've been a longtime supporter of you, Mayor Annise, and I'm proud of you.
Thank
But
you.
I want to say I'm happy to have been selected as an election judge. And for the next 12 days, there are 70 sites where people can go out and vote. And it's so critical because if you're nervous to vote on the day of November 4th, please come out and vote. On November 4th, there will be 300 locations. But right now we have 70, and that's ample locations for people to turn out.
And Ernie, because we're short on time, where would we get that? If people wanted to go find out, where do they go? And everything you just said was so important. Where would we get that?
The Harris County, if you go to the voting for Harris County, it'll take you. It's a harriscountyvoting.com, and you can go there. They'll show you the 70 sites, and I'll send them to you, Gilbert, so that you guys can have them available. But it's so critical because there are a lot of people that get intimidated to vote, and many like the idea of early voting.
Thank you so much, Ernie. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Remember Mayor Parker, Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together. It's time to say so long.
Don't sing, Gilbert.
I know.
Don't sing.
Ernie, please call again because that's such an important thing. And I want everyone to know that this broadcast is going to be, of course, stored on all social media. And, of course, it'll show on air on Saturdays at 7 p.m. on Comcast 97, AT&T 99, Phonoscope 96, Suddenlink 99, HMSTV.org. Everyone knows the stations. And don't forget, of course, the best taqueria Laredo. That's where you got to go for the best carne guisada in town. Annise Parker, this is all you. Please look at the camera. Tell us why you're ready to be county judge.
I want to serve the citizens of Harris County to the best of my ability.
Damn it. You know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to go take the hill because you know what? The best of her ability is dynamite. And that's what we need right now in Harris County. So Harris County, City of Houston, this is Gilbert Garcia of a tip a tip from me, talk inspiration and prayer, saying, we'll see you next time. All right, Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer. We're going to now be on television. We will air every Saturday on Comcast 17, AT&T Channel 99, Phonoscope Channel 96, Suddenlink 99, and also HMSTV.org. Every new episode every Saturday at 7 p.m. And follow me on social media. See you then.